All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Naresh Mago and with me is Saira Mustaba. The headlines. Lok Sabha passes Companies Amendment Bill to decriminalize various corporate offences. Also passes Taxation Bill to provide relief to taxpayers. India overtakes US in terms of global COVID-19 recoveries. Centre reviews measures taken to curb air pollution in Delhi NCR before the onset of harvesting and winter season. In IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat defending champions Mumbai Indians by 5 wickets in Abu Dhabi. And in Italian Open tennis, singles semi-finals to be played today. The Lok Sabha has passed the Companies Amendment Bill 2020, which decriminalizes a number of technical and filing-related corporate offences. It also allows direct listing of Indian companies on foreign stock exchanges and revokes the criminal provisions added to the Companies Act for violations of provisions of corporate social responsibility rules. The bill, which seeks to decriminalize various penal provisions and introduce a new chapter related to producer organizations in the legislation, was passed by the lower house in its late-night sitting. Speaking on the legislation, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said, decriminalization of various provisions under the Companies Law will help small companies by reducing litigation burden on them. She informed that 48 sections of the Companies Act 2013 will be amended to decriminalize various offences. The minister asserted that there will, however, be no relaxation for serious offences, including fraud, deceit, and those that cause injury to public. Ms. Sitharaman informed that there will also be a new chapter on producer organisation, which will be helpful for farmer producer organisations, FPOs, in the country. For promoting ease of doing business, the minister said that 17 provisions of the Companies Act 2013 have also been amended, which paves the way for easy and user-friendly fulfillment of statutory compliances. Lok Sabha has passed the Taxation and Other Laws Relaxation and Amendment of Certain Provisions Bill 2020. The bill aims at providing relaxations related to compliance by extending the time limit and waiving penalty in relation to certain specified laws. These laws include the Income Tax Act 1961 IT Act, some Finance Acts, the Central Excise Act 1944, Customs Act 1962, and the Prohibition of Benami Property Transactions Act 1988. Earlier in her reply, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the bill will replace the ordinance which was promulgated in March this year. The bill also extends the deadline for filing declaration and due amount under the Vivad se Vishwas scheme till 31st December.
विवाद से विश्वास का डेट था पहले मार्च 31 तक, फिर उसको जून तक एक्सटेंड करवाया गया ऑर्डिनेंस के द्वारा। हम तो विवाद से विश्वास के लिए डेट 31 दिसंबर तक इस कानून के द्वारा एक्सटेंड करना चाहते हैं। अगर पैंडेमिक तब तक खत्म नहीं होता, दोबारा पार्लियामेंट के पास इस विषय को लेकर नहीं आना है, इसलिए वो पावर ले रहे हैं, अगर चाहिए तो एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं डेट।
The legislation provides these relaxations in view of the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in India. The bill proposes amendment in the IT Act to provide that donations made by a person to the PM CARES Fund will be eligible for 100% deduction in the taxable income. Congress, DMK, TMC and RSP members opposed the bill and said that it allows the government to invoke the clause of force majeure retrospectively, which they said will be misused to defer GST payments to state governments. The opposition also raised the issue of the PM CARES Fund and asked the government about the reason to create a separate relief fund other than PM-NRF. Ms. Sitharaman, in a reply, stated that the amendment in the tax-related laws is brought about only to provide relief to taxpayers so that statutory compliances can be met amidst the COVID-19 pandemic.
कोविड के समय में फाइलिंग करना, टैक्स रिटर्न फाइल करना, जीएसटी रिटर्न फाइल करना, इन सब में क्योंकि लॉकडाउन था, लोगों को दिक्कत हो सकता है, इसीलिए कानूनन जो तय हुआ रखा है उन डेट्स को पोस्टपोन करने के लिए ऑर्डिनेंस का आवश्यकता थी और उस ऑर्डिनेंस को अभी रिप्लेस करने के लिए बिल का भी आवश्यकता है.
Speaking about the PM CARES Fund, the Finance Minister said, PM CARES is a registered public trust, whereas PM-NRF has not been registered till date since its inception in 1948. Ms. Sitharaman informed that PM-NRF Fund, which has also been given tax deduction benefit, does not come under the purview of RTI. She informed that both the relief funds are eligible for receiving the benefits under Corporate Social Responsibility CSR compliance.
The Rajya Sabha passed the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Second Amendment Bill 2020 yesterday. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman moved the bill in the House, which is an amendment to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, which provides a time-bound process for resolving insolvency in companies and among individuals. It replaces the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Ordinance 2020 promulgated in June this year. Insolvency is a situation where individuals or companies are unable to repay their outstanding debt. The bill seeks to temporarily suspend initiation of the Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process (CIRP) under the Code. Replying to the discussion, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that insolvency and bankruptcy is a significant part of the business and it is helping the companies and people to resolve the issues without going to the National Company Law Tribunal or NCLT.
IBC is actually serving the purpose of making sure resolutions are offered. Although it's insolvency and bankruptcy code, it ensures that most of the resolutions are happening to make the company as a going concern only rather than liquidated.
On the employment front, Ms. Sitharaman said 258 companies were rescued under the IBC mechanism. The Business Advisory Committee BAC of Parliament held a meeting to discuss the legislative business and other issues related to the ongoing monsoon session. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla presided over the meeting yesterday, which was also attended by other BAC members including Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, BJP MP Jagdambika Pal, BSP MP Ritesh Pandey and Biju Janata Dal MP Pinaki Mishra. Our correspondent reports that the political parties arrived at a consensus in the meeting to curtail the ongoing monsoon session of the Parliament in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Lok Sabha is scheduled to take up Foreign Contribution Regulations Amendments Bill, National Forensic Sciences University Bill, Rashtriya Raksha University Bill, Bilateral Netting of Qualified Financial Contract Bill and Factoring Regulation Amendment Bill today. The Rajya Sabha is scheduled to take up the Farmers' Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill, Farmers' Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill, Essential Commodities Amendment Bill, Indian Institutes of Information Technology Laws Amendment Bill, and the Banking Regulations Amendment Bill today. The BJP has issued a whip to its Rajya Sabha members asking them to be present in the House today. 3 farm bills are scheduled to come up for consideration and passing in the upper house. Several opposition parties are opposing these legislations. However, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has termed the bills as historic and pro-farmer and accused the critics of misleading the farmers over the bill. The Lok Sabha has already passed these bills. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said those opposing centre's farm bills were creating confusion by provoking the farmers. Our correspondent has filed this report.
In a series of tweets, Sri Chauhan yesterday said that the bills aimed to make farmers in the country self-reliant and those opposing the bills are just trying to show themselves as farmer-friendly while seeing various sections of the society as vote bank. Sri Chauhan added that legislation would give farmers the freedom to fix prices of their produce and break boundaries of state under the one nation, one market concept.
कुछ मित्र भ्रम पैदा करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। कृषि उपज मंडी में फसल आके किसान को बेचने का विकल्प है ही, कोई कृषि उपज मंडी मध्य प्रदेश में बंद नहीं होगी, वो यथावत चलेगी। किसान अपने उत्पाद को चाहे तो कृषि उपज मंडी में बेचे, लेकिन अगर उसको लगता है कि मंडी में नहीं जाना मुझे, तो हम बाध्य क्यों कर रहे हैं कि वो मंडी में ही जाए।
He further added that the bills are revolutionary and give protection to farmer mandis as well as minimum support price mechanism. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, Dr. P.K. Mishra, chaired the meeting of the high-level task force constituted to improve the air quality in the National Capital Region of Delhi. Dr. Mishra emphasized that the meeting was called well in advance before the onset of harvesting and winter season to ensure proper precautionary and preventive measures to combat the causes of air pollution are taken well in time. A review was carried out of the main sources of air pollution, measures taken, and the progress made by the state governments and various ministries. It was noted that the incidence of stubble burning has reduced by more than 50% in the last 2 years, and the number of good AQI days have gone up. It was observed that after recent inclusion of residue-based power or fuel plants under priority sector lending by the Reserve Bank of India, both state and central governments should jointly work out action plans for rapid deployment of such units. Measures related to diversification of crop and strengthening of supply chains were also discussed. The Principal Secretary highlighted the importance of effective implementation of the existing in-situ management of crop residue scheme of Ministry of Agriculture by the states. He emphasized that state governments should ensure that the new machinery to be deployed in the current year should reach the farmers before the start of the harvesting season. The Ministry of Agriculture was directed to provide all necessary support in this regard. To control stubble burning, it was stressed that adequate number of teams should be deployed at ground level and they should ensure that no stubble burning takes place, especially in the state of Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. These states need to put extra efforts and appropriate incentives, especially in the relevant districts. The Delhi government was requested to ensure measures to control local sources of pollution. Dr. Mishra emphasized that the envisaged measures should be implemented well before the onset of severe conditions, and focus should also be laid on compliance of emission norms by industry in satellite industrial area.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lay the foundation stone of 9 highway projects in Bihar through video conferencing tomorrow. These highway projects involve about 350 kilometers road at a cost of 4,258 crore rupees. Paving the way for development of Bihar, these roads will enhance better connectivity, convenience and economic growth in and around the state. The movement of people and goods will also improve substantially, especially with the neighboring states of Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand. The Prime Minister will also inaugurate the optical fiber internet services, where all the 45,945 villages of Bihar will be connected through optical fiber internet service. This project will help in easy availability of digital services like e-education, e-agriculture, telemedicine, tele-law, and other social security schemes to all citizens of Bihar at the click of a button.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Lok Sabha passes Companies Amendment Bill to decriminalize various corporate offences. Also passes taxation bill to provide relief to taxpayers. India overtakes US in terms of global COVID-19 recoveries. Centre reviews measures taken to curb air pollution in Delhi NCR before the onset of harvesting and winter season. In IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat defending champions Mumbai Indians by 5 wickets in Abu Dhabi. And in Italian Open tennis, single semi-finals to be played today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
The Health Ministry has said India has overtaken the USA and become number 1 in terms of global COVID-19 recoveries. The constantly increasing recoveries have ensured that the actual caseload of the country is reduced and currently comprises only 19.1% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 10,13,000. The ministry said effective implementation of centres' strategic and graded test, track and treat approach has led to higher recoveries and lower fatalities. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.61%, which is one of the lowest globally. In the last 24 hours, 1,247 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 85,619. India's COVID-19 tally has crossed 53 lakh, with 93,337 new infections being reported in a day. The top 5 states with the maximum caseload are Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh. The country has registered the highest single-day recoveries of 95,880 COVID patients. The Health Ministry has said the recovery rate of COVID-19 has further improved to 79.28%. The total number of recoveries has reached over 42 lakh. The Health Ministry today said India scaled another peak with 12 lakh tests conducted across the country in the last 24 hours, which is an all-time record high. More than 6.37 crore COVID-19 tests have been conducted till now. It said higher testing leads to early identification of positive cases, timely and effective treatment and low mortality. The Health Ministry said while the number of daily tests has increased as an integral part of Chase the Virus strategy, the states have been advised that all symptomatic negatives of rapid antigen tests are mandatorily subjected to RT-PCR.
The Tata clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats or CRISPR test powered by CSIR, Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology IGIB, Feluda, has received regulatory approvals from the Drug Controller General of India for commercial launch. As per the Indian Council of Medical Research guidelines, the test has met high-quality benchmarks with 96% sensitivity and 98% specificity for detecting the novel coronavirus. This test uses an indigenously developed cutting-edge CRISPR technology for detection of the genomic sequence of SARS-CoV-2 virus. CRISPR is a genome editing technology for diagnosing diseases. The Tata CRISPR test is the world's first diagnostic test to deploy a specially adapted Cas9 protein to successfully detect the virus causing COVID-19. This marks a significant achievement for the Indian scientific community, moving from research and development to a high accuracy, scalable and reliable test in less than 100 days. The Tata CRISPR test achieves accuracy levels of traditional RT-PCR tests with quicker turnaround time, less expensive equipment and better ease of use. Moreover, CRISPR is a futuristic technology that can also be configured for detection of multiple other pathogens in the future. In Bihar, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 91.6%, which is 13% more than the national average. Active cases in the state are continuously decreasing. Casualties due to corona have risen to 861. The State Health Minister Mangal Pandey said that every day over 1 lakh COVID-19 tests are being conducted.
Gujarat has registered a record 1,432 new COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours. Our correspondent reports the total number of positive cases in the state has risen to 1,21,920.
With a recovery of 1,470 patients yesterday, the recovery rate has further improved and reached up to 84.12%. Total 1,02,571 patients have been recovered in the state till now. More than 37,39,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date, out of which 61,432 tests were carried out yesterday. At present, total active cases in the state are 16,054, out of which 97 patients are on ventilator. 16 patients died yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 up to 3,305. Meanwhile, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has added 16 new areas in the micro-containment zone, while clear 21 areas from the list. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Tamil Nadu, the total number of recoveries from COVID-19 has risen to 4.81 lakh, which is 89.7%, while the total number of cases has gone up to 5.36 lakh. Over 83,000 people were tested during the past 24 hours in the state, and 5,569 people were confirmed positive of COVID-19. More from our correspondent.
A notable feature in Tamil Nadu is that the active caseload is consistently under 47,000 for the past many days. The recoveries often outnumber new infections. Nearly 62 lakh people have been tested so far, all using the RT-PCR kits, which are considered the gold standard in COVID testing. More than 80% of the patients who required hospitalization were treated in government facilities. The State Health Department is aiming at converting at least 50% of the COVID beds in government hospitals with high-flow oxygen cannulas. As the experience shows, oxygen cannulas are more in demand than ventilators in COVID management. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
Participating in our live phone-in program on COVID-19 last night, Dr. Piyush Ranjan of All India Institute of Medical Sciences told AIR News about who and when can someone donate plasma, which can be useful in the treatment of COVID-19.
प्लाज्मा जो है वो अलग अलग कंडीशन में जांचों पर निर्भर करता है, जिसके आधार पर जो कि है मरीज को टोटल डोज ऑफ प्लाज्मा जो है कन्वेलेसेंट प्लाज्मा जिसे कहते हैं वो डिपेंड करता है। लेकिन ये लगभग जो है 2 वैट जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं 2 यूनिट जो है वो दिया जा सकता है। जो डोनर एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया, ऐसे लोग जो कि पॉजिटिव हो चुके हैं और पॉजिटिव होने के बाद बिल्कुल ठीक हो चुके हैं, ठीक होने के 14 दिन के बाद उनके शरीर में जो खास एंटीबॉडी जो है वो टेस्ट किया जाता है और अगर वो एंटीबॉडी की लेवल उस ठीक हुए व्यक्ति में एक निश्चित मात्रा से अधिक होती है, तब उनका हम लोग प्लाज्मा निकाल करके जो बीमार व्यक्ति जो है उसमें हम लोग देते हैं।
The Hotel and Restaurant Association of Western India, HRAWI, has urged the Maharashtra government to extend the property tax waiver for 6 months. The association said that the 3-month waiver announced by the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, BMC, should have been granted to all hotels as well as restaurants for a 6-month period during which they were asked to remain shut. More from our correspondent.
The Hotel and Restaurant Association of Western India said the corona pandemic crisis have brought shutters down of hotels and restaurants establishments. It said the industry is on the verge of collapse, therefore not just hotels but restaurants are also hoping for complete waiver on taxes or levies for the duration of at least 12 months. It said that the association is thankful to the Maharashtra government and the BMC for considering its plea and showing the industry the much needed solidarity. The association's president Gurbakh Singh Kohli said even by the most conservative estimates, it will take nothing less than a year or a year and a half before businesses might see some recovery. Until then, the industry will require the government support, which can be offered in the form of tax and levy waivers. Devprabha Bhattacharjee, AIR News, Mumbai.
The Special Cell of Delhi Police has arrested a freelance journalist, Rajiv Sharma, who was found working for Chinese intelligence officers. During the search of his house in Pitampura, New Delhi, 1 laptop, some confidential documents related to Indian Defence Departments, and some other incriminating documents were recovered and seized. During his police custody remand, one Chinese lady, Cheng Shi, and her Nepalese partner, Sher Singh, alias Raj Bohra, have also been arrested, who were found supplying him huge amounts of money, routed through Hawala channels for conveying sensitive information to Chinese intelligence. Speaking to media, Deputy Commissioner of Police Special Cell, Sanjeev Kumar Yadav, said journalist Rajiv Sharma was involved in passing sensitive defense and strategic information to Chinese intelligence officers from 2016 to 2018.
अभी इनकी इंटरोगेशन चल रही है। इनके तीनों लोगों के पास से लगभग 10 से 12 मोबाइल फोन, लैपटॉप, टैब और एटीएम कार्ड इंक्लूडिंग चाइनीज एटीएम कार्ड रिकवर हुए हैं। 14 तारीख को इनको जब अरेस्ट किया गया था तो एक सर्च वारंट लेकर इनके घर की सर्च की गई और उस सर्च में इनके घर से कुछ क्लासिफाइड डॉक्यूमेंट्स मिले हैं जो डिफेंस रिलेटेड है और बहुत से डॉक्यूमेंट मिले हैं जिसकी अभी एग्जामिनेशन चल रहा है।
For the first time in Leh Hill Council elections, the administration of the Union Territory of Ladakh is issuing postal ballots to persons other than the service personnel. For elections to the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, voters under new categories have been added to avail the postal ballot facility. More from our correspondent.
In 6th General Council elections of Leh Hill Council, the election authority is extending postal ballot facility to general voters as well. Voters under notified essential services, persons aged over 65 years, differently abled persons, COVID patients and voters in isolation or quarantine during the polling day can avail the postal ballot facility in Hill Council elections. Leh Election Officer Sachin Kumar Vaishya said,
सीनियर सिटीजन्स हैं या फिर स्पेशली एबल्ड लोग हैं, उनको फॉर्म leh.nic.in पर अवेलेबल है, वहां से डाउनलोड कर लें या फिर ऑरो एआरओ जो उनकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी के हैं उनके पास रहेगा। उस फॉर्म को भरें, ऑरो एआरओ के ऑफिस में सबमिट करें 10 से लेकर 4:30 के बीच में 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 5 दिनों के लिए। फिर उनको पोस्टल बैलेट की सुविधा उपलब्ध करा दी जाएगी। हमारे नोटिफाइड एसेंशियल सर्विसेज में हैं या कोविड पॉजिटिव पेशेंट्स हैं या फिर होम आइसोलेशन में हैं, क्वारंटीन में हैं, इंस्टीट्यूशनल क्वारंटीन में हैं, होम क्वारंटीन में हैं, उनके लिए भी पोस्टल बैलेट की सुविधा दिया जाएगा।
Leh has 87,000 voters with almost equal numbers of male and females. The administration is also making efforts to use the EVMs for the council elections. Ramesh Chandra, All India Radio News, Leh.
In our series on Gandhian philosophy, today we bring you a report on Gandhiji's views on labor-intensive approach. Mahatma Gandhi believed in a labor-intensive approach rather than capital-intensive. He emphasized on self-sufficiency of the villages and worked towards reviving village industries. He had said, India's way is not Europe's. India is not Calcutta and Bombay. India lives in her 700,000 villages. Here is a report.
Gandhiji was not against machines, but he believed that their introduction would lead to millions of hands remaining idle. According to him, in order to use local human resources and to control migration from rural to urban areas, organization of labor-intensive public work schemes must be emphasized. Thus, he focused on khadi to provide work to people instead of using mill-produced clothes. The ultimate goal was to reconstitute the villages. He had said, khadi is the sun of the village solar system. The planet are the various industries which can support khadi in return for the heat and the sustenance they derive from it. Without it, other industries cannot grow. Anupam Mish, AIR News, Delhi.
The Mahendra Singh Dhoni-led Chennai Super Kings beat defending champions Mumbai Indians by 5 wickets in the opening game of the 13th edition of the Indian Premier League in Abu Dhabi last night. Chasing 163 runs to win, Chennai overhauled the target with 4 balls to spare, finishing at 166 for 5 in 19.2 overs. The 13th edition of the Indian Premier League kicked off in Abu Dhabi yesterday after a long wait due to the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic.
In tennis, top seed Simona Halep and Spaniard Garbine Muguruza have set up a semi-final clash in the women's singles final of Italian Open. In the other semi-final, world's number 4 Karolina Pliskova will be up against the 19th ranked Czech Republic Markéta Vondrousova. The 2 semi-final matches will be played today. In the men's singles category, Rafael Nadal lost to Argentine Diego Schwartzman 6-2, 7-5 in the quarterfinals. World's number 15 Schwartzman will meet Denis Shapovalov of Canada in the semi-finals. In the other match, world's number 1 Novak Djokovic defeated Dominik Koepfer of Germany to earn a spot in the semi-finals. Djokovic will meet Norwegian Casper Ruud for a place in the final, beat 4th seed and local favourite Matteo Berrettini 4-6, 6-3, 7-6 in the quarter-final clash. The 2 semi-final matches will also be played today. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for the day. The national capital, Delhi, will have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature recorded was 27 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be 37 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature is likely to hover between 13 and 32 degrees Celsius. It will have a mainly clear sky. In Muzaffarabad, there will be a mainly clear sky with temperatures hovering between 17 and 35 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Terror and espionage modules busted. Chinese among 3 arrested for spying. Headlines The Times of India, adding 9 of Al-Qaeda cell plotting hits held. Hindustan Times reports, arrested journalist was sharing border strategy with China, say the cops. 1,350 crore rupee J&K package, 5% interest grant for all borrowers, writes the Indian Express. Financial Express says that while mobile revenues have declined in metro cities owing to reverse migration, internet services adoption has accelerated due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Sun Pioneer writes that the monsoon session of Parliament will end a week earlier on September 23 as COVID cases among the MPs are up. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, liberal jurist and American feminist icon, dies, reads the headline in Hindustan Times. And finally, The Statesman under the headline, Floating Town Virat sets sail on final voyage to be dismantled, reports that Indian Navy's aircraft carrier INS Virat has started on its swan song voyage to Alang Port in Gujarat from Mumbai.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Lok Sabha passes Companies Amendment Bill to decriminalize various corporate offences, also passes taxation bill to provide relief to taxpayers. India overtakes US in terms of global COVID-19 recoveries. Centre reviews measures to taken to curb air pollution in Delhi NCR before the onset of harvesting in winter season. And in Italian Open tennis singles semi-finals to be played today. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.